Time to sound off, Husker Nation. This is your Real Red Reaction Show on Lincoln's KFOR. Call the show now at 402-489-1240.
Welcome to it, Real Red Reaction. We're powered by the good folks at Slim Chickens, 48th and, of course, Old Cheney, 14th and Pine Lake, 2 locations. Go get your dessert. Go get your chicken fingers. Before you do that, come on down to the Single Barrel. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, Justice Rhodey. We're here for Real Red Reaction on KFOR, KFORnow.com. Numbers to get in, 489-1240, 489-1240, 800-825-5865 to dial up. A simple question: how do you feel right now as a Nebraska fan? You have seen everything and about anything with this ball game. A fast start, that frothy start we talked about in the pregame. Bewilderment as Sparty, despite that start, hung in, found a way to go to halftime 14-7. You saw a Back to the Future where the offenses looked like Rutgers v. Nebraska a year ago because of the wind. And you saw offensive line play get sneered at as Sparty almost equaled their sack total for the season. A lot to talk about with the offensive line, a lot to talk about with the play calling. But, fellas, I think the word is relief today. Relief. Nebraska hangs on to win 38-27 as they outlast Michigan State. And a key sequence really started in that third quarter, fellas. Nebraska takes the ball, doesn't do much. They fake a punt on their own side of the 50-yard line. Harburg gets snapped and tackled short. And then Sparty decides to reel off a couple of consecutive touchdowns to take the lead.
That last touchdown at the end was a killer for the cover. Sorry, not to jump in there, but that was brutal for some people out there.
You had a key sequence, and Dylan had been having a rough day. No time to breathe, no time to throw, not much of a run game attempt. And on 3rd down and 10, fellas, he hit Barney. That gave some juice, some life, some momentum to Nebraska. A play later, Emmett Johnson takes it in, and Nebraska reclaims the lead for good. It's a series of 4 or 5 plays in a game that flip. The fake punt could have been a death nail. It was instead a 3rd and 10 completion to Barty that cleared the cobwebs for Nebraska, capped off by Emmett. Emmett gets in again. Nebraska moves to 4-1. Your word for today?
The word. Give me a second on that. I'll just say I'm trying to find the word for. I feel like I was feeling some deja vu up in the press box watching that game as momentum started to slip away.
Iowa State, Nebraska, 2009.
Well, just like whenever Childs snuck it in from 4 yards out,
untouched from a sneak.
You felt the momentum kind of flip in that building. The air gets let out, and there was that feeling of like, oh man, here we go again. Similar to what you felt Cincinnati whenever Nebraska punted the ball away to Cincinnati late in that football game, and Cincinnati has a chance to go down and take the lead. You go, oh boy, here we go again. That being said, Nebraska did not let momentum, which momentum's a hell of a drug.
It is.
Did not let it derail them. They stayed the course. That offensive line, despite how much they got killed in the second and third quarter, stepped up a bit in the fourth quarter, got Emmett some running lanes. They got Dylan some time to throw the football. Memorial Stadium was feeling pretty quiet, and they were able to snatch that game right back. So I think maybe progress, it's a step forward. It doesn't feel great. You definitely walk away from that game feeling like, man, it shouldn't have felt that close, and, man, what the hell happened to Nebraska's offense in the second and third quarters? But despite how bad it looked in those quarters, the fact that you're able to escape with a win is a sign of progress because of how many times we've seen Nebraska have games just like that over the past decade that they end up losing by 2 scores.
Tim Bob Kitzmiller with us here on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Justice Rhodey, Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. We're here at the Single Barrel. Come pour a drink at the Single Barrel. 200 whiskeys to choose from. I think a large steak is in order. Nebraska moves to 4-1. Tim Bob, what did you see, brother? That thing, and I said it after the what would have or could have been a backwards pass was returned by Nebraska, but was negated as a forward pass that would have put Nebraska up a plenty at that point of the game. I just kind of turned to JP next to me in the press box and said, the game's drunk. That's kind of how this ball game feels like. But Nebraska able to sober up in time.
Well, for me, it's Big Ten football, right? I mean, momentums go back and forth. The ball goes up and down the field. Missed opportunities. I mean, they didn't take advantage of the turnovers or the special teams advantages they had the punt called back. They didn't capitalize on the interceptions. But it's Big Ten football, right? And it's a lot of parity, and they won. I mean, let's face it, they won. They moved on. They got a win against, again, Michigan State is, I think Nebraska and Michigan State are very similar skills. I thought the defensive line played better. I'm with Elijah. I don't know what happened to the offensive line between the second and the third quarter. They kind of all of a sudden, but you saw Dylan a couple of times say, that's my fault, trying to do too much, maybe not taking the underneath route and hold on the ball too long. But, it was a win in the Big Ten football. And the biggest frustration for me is Archie didn't punt the ball very well. So that was probably the downside to the –
He put it inside the 10 when it mattered.
He did. He get the one when it mattered, and that's what it comes down to. But word today, it's Big Ten football, and you got to win.
Justice, what say you here? We'll get to your comments here in the stream. Real Red Reaction, 489-1240, powered by Slim Chickens, 800-825-5865. How are you feeling right now as a Nebraska fan with the win?
I'll say this. I think drunk is probably the operative word. That's probably what a lot of people are going to be after this game. It's what this game felt like. To me, watching it, there was that sinking feeling, like Elijah said, that deja vu crept in, where I was preparing myself to say, how am I going to be pragmatic? How am I going to go about this? If Nebraska loses this game, how am I going to keep a level head and try to move forward? Well, then it just completely swings like a pendulum. I think that's the operative word of the day is pendulum, because this thing swung back and forth with a ton of momentum. And it felt like, I think Puffins United put it best in the stream. For so many years, special teams lost Nebraska football games. You can clearly chalk up special teams as what won Nebraska the game.
Ball.
A blocked punt, and how about, get when they needed it most, getting the punt inside the 10. They were incredible all day. The muffed kickoff that they were able to get affected by the wind. Special teams clearly won them the game today, and I think that's a big takeaway. Emmett goes for 120 on the ground. 4 carries for 20 yards from the backup running back. Some stuff still needs to be sorted there. Defensive line, like Tim Bob astutely pointed out, looked much better today, although against what looked like a LaGuardia turnstile offensive line. I mean, they were letting everybody through that offensive line, but still, it looked much improved on the defensive line. I think that you can feel a bit relieved. Obviously, everybody has their right to the concerns, and there are concerns with this football team. But I think it's a positive that Nebraska, even with playing basically a D game, D plus maybe, they still got away with it with a double-digit, win. So I think that's a positive that can be taken away. Still a lot of stuff to clean up between now and Maryland, but good things, bad things overall. Nebraska, they're working from the W column, and that's exactly where you want to be working from, is building from that W.
It's not often you have a game with a special teams touchdown. Probably could have had a second one there if Carter Nelson doesn't block in the back, which I thought was pretty cut and dry. That guy was going to make the tackle, and Carter bumped him in the back. Was it the worst block in the back I've ever seen? No. Was it a block in the back?
No,
yes.
There's money's worth to get on that if you're going to cost a touchdown.
And I don't think he got his money's worth.
He did not get his money's worth.
But he did prevent the guy from making the tackle, I think, so no problem there. But it's not often. With special teams touchdown and 3 takeaways, and a game feels as close as it does there. It feels like you're going to let the momentum slip away. I mean, oh boy, that offense was scary at times. The offensive line had their struggles, but I mean, I can't remember who said it in the stream, but whenever you look across the college football landscape and look at Penn State lose to an 0-4 UCLA team, you look at Texas lose to a 1-3 Florida team.
Maryland blew a 20-point lead and lost to Washington.
Getting wins in the new era of college football with the parity you see. It's not easy. There's no such thing as an easy win. Nebraska could have won by more. They didn't, but they kind of got momentum back on their side. That's a positive takeaway. Can you be frustrated that it was as close as it was? Absolutely. but it's a win, and at least you're not James Franklin in Penn State. At least you're not Sark in Texas. Like, let's have a little perspective here.
Well, perspective is key. Elijah Herbal, Justice Rhodey, Tim Bob, Kitzmiller, Chris Schmidt, 489-1240 reaction to Nebraska outlasting Michigan State 38-27. Nebraska owned that fourth quarter, 17 fourth quarter points. Guys, we'll talk about the good, which was special teams. The good was Nebraska's defensive line play today. The good was Williams-Nwaneri really being a force off the edge. I thought Judy played well with a good motor. I thought Buda Wright was tremendous at linebacker. I thought Singleton had a hell of a ball game. So those are some guys at
what about Vincent Shavers too? You got to shout out Vincent Shavers.
Vincent was good. P9 played well. Special teams we know was good. The bad is the inconsistency on the offensive line. And listen, we are, I think we're all like, okay, Dana's big time. He's a really good offensive play caller. Dana's solid at what he does, has been throughout his career. It feels at times the guy is searching, and there's frustration, I think, from some Nebraska fans with just either the lack of commitment to the run game, willingness to go to the run game. Maybe he knows more than all of us, and that's probably true. But there's just not a lot of trust right now with the run game. There were some explosive runs today that they schemed up, but they time and time again inside the red zone just can't get it handled. 4 times today, Nebraska started the football off in Michigan State territory, and they got a whopping 3 points out of it. 3 points is it. It continues to be a story, a struggle. They did, cap off that first drive for the touchdown with a little razzle-dazzle. But quite frankly, that was cute. You're not going north and south when you get in the red zone. You're going east to west. And the last red zone that led to the field goal, fellas, that was 3 straight pass plays. And you didn't try and run it once. You got a quarterback that got harassed, and Michigan State just made a decision with the wind, going into the wind, to come after him. The offensive line didn't get it figured out. Michigan State feasted, and they looked super confident with their pass rush, but it's the same story. Nebraska earned a win today. They earned a Big Ten win today with jumping out like they did and then coming back after giving up 2 touchdowns. But that's a 21-7, 3 straight touchdown scores by Michigan State to take the lead. That 7 felt like 70. You were just wondering if Nebraska was going to get even, and then they explode in the fourth quarter for 17. But plenty of good, lots of bad, and the ugly, fellas, is just, I have to say it, the ugly, despite 38 points, is that offensive line right now, trying to get it figured out with pass protection, what you're calling, how long the quarterback's holding the football, and guys not getting open.
And I don't say this to be too offensive. I say it with all reality. In the second quarter, that offense felt like a Heinrich Harburg-led offense. And I love Heinrich Harburg. But do you remember how inept at times that offense was 2 years ago, where you don't trust your quarterback to throw the football? The defense can kind of key on the run. They get after the quarterback. Kind of what it felt like in the second quarter. Wasn't great there. I'm not sure it's necessarily what you expected. Maybe with the wind playing a factor, you had to get away from what you wanted your offensive game plan to be. But the offense was ugly at times in that second quarter, and there's no way to sugarcoat that, aside from the fact that you got the plays when you needed them whenever the game was close late in the third quarter and in the fourth.
The other ugly was penalties. Nebraska's up 14-0. 2 defensive pass interference penalties, gets Michigan State the football at the 1. They eventually punch it in. You had a false start that blew up a drive. You have a block in the back. But Nebraska played, I loved their energy and their fury, but they played sometimes, I don't want to say out of control, but they were rushing so hard. They lost contain a few times. Tip of the cap to Childs. He made a lot happen despite getting beat around like he's an Everlast punching bag. Throughout the ball game. He made it go. Justice, who's with us?
We got Chuck on the line, wants to ask a quick question.
Okay. Chuck, thanks for calling. Welcome into Real Red Reaction. What do you say?
Hey guys, love the show. I was just going to ask, earlier this week, Dana Holgerson said that we would see something we've never seen before. What was that? Was it Mosey and Nelson in the second quarter? I'm not sure. What do you
I think
My intel told me it was Demetrius Bell coming back from injury, getting some carries out of the backfield. Demetrius Bell was scheduled to come back from injury this week. He retweaked that hamstring. I think it was the other hamstring actually in practice this week, and he was a no-go. But from what my intel said, that was going to be the bit of a wrinkle out of the backfield today.
Chuck, what you saw that you hadn't seen before
Was that weird double handoff too?
was Harburg and Raiola in the backfield at the same time. That's one thing you saw. That's one little tweak that you haven't seen before. Predictably, we saw a fake punt at the 45 when I don't know what you do there. You don't screw up, so it's fourth down on your opening third quarter drive. But Chuck, that's what we got for you. A guy that ended up tweaking the hamstring, and then your former quarterback and your current quarterback in the backfield at the same time.
Thanks, guys. Go Big Red.
All right, Chuck, good to hear from you. 489-1240 to get in. Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. We're here at the Single Barrel, taking you probably to close to 9 tonight.
We'll be
here
until
on KFOR.
I think we'll be till 7:15. About 7 o'clock on the air. Wait, no, sorry, 8 o'clock on the air. Maybe a little after 8 o'clock, and we'll probably take it a little longer online. So if you're listening on the radio, make sure you also check us out streaming online. The Average Joe Sports Show is the YouTube channel you can find, or the Real Red Reaction Show on YouTube. If you are on Facebook or Twitter, you can also find KFOR Radio on Facebook or Twitter for the live stream as well. So plenty of ways to catch us if you are listening on the radio and you want the full Real Red Reaction experience today.
Well, Mike and Callie saying hold on to your butts as that thing got real tight when Michigan State went up 21-14. NASCAR Eric, no words. Mike, we're doomed. And the chat is glorious. We appreciate all of you checking in with it. Jay is here as well in the chat. Black Hills Brennan asking about the analytics here for the fake punt. Matt Rule, we'll hear from Coach Rule here on Real Red Reaction. Game Dog Nebraska averaged 5.8 a carry, minus Raiola's run stats. Michigan allowing 4.2 per carry. That's pretty good. You are right, Game Dog. And Nebraska went to the run from time to time. It paid off. A lot of big runs for Emmett Johnson. NASCAR Erica's right. The game was a roller coaster full of emotions, and you could just sense it in the stadium where, to your point, Elijah, the progress that you see is winning the game like this, coming back from a game like this. So many times you jump out as quickly as they did, Tim Bob, and you're going to roll. The door was cracked open on those 2 third down pass interference penalties in the 17-play drive for Sparty. But it was 2nd and 16 with the backup quarterback in, and homeboy came in and threw a couple of darts, got a couple of flags. They score, and then it's game on again.
Well, that backup quarterback's got way too many too few vowels in his name. That's a hard one to pronounce. I'm glad I'm not making that call. But I thought, he played well. The backup quarterback came in and gave him a different dynamic. He played well. But I was going to say that the adjustment when they couldn't run the ball, I thought in that third quarter when it went to the screen game and the passes out of the backfield and got the ball out of Dylan's hands quickly and allowed the playmakers to make some play, kind of got the offense rolling again. And again, of course, you had the big screen play that goes for the touchdown and to kind of roll there late. But again, it is a roller coaster, but it's a win. In Big Ten football, you're not going to roll over anybody. I mean, it's too much parity. And Nebraska's getting better. I agree with everything you said, but it's a win. And you got to stack those, and that's all that matters in today's football. I mean, nobody's going to remember how close it was, what the stats looked like. It was a pretty evenly played game, overall when you look at it. And Nebraska comes out. I'm just happy they came from behind. When they got down, that's when I'm like Elijah. I was like, oh, man. And then they were able to come back and get that running touchdown. Emmett scores on the run, and then it kind of felt like they took that momentum back, especially with the special teams play.
That's the one thing I'll say about this football team. Matt Rule's talked about it a lot. They had both handfuls today full of adversity, and this team could have gone sideways. At times they went sideways last year in tight moments. Nebraska able to come from behind. And listen, there's not enough lipstick for this ball game if you jump out like you did 14-0. The other team's on scholarship / payroll as well. But for Nebraska to find a way to get a win, make some adjustments, and make some plays between the screenplay, the ability for Nebraska to hit some big run plays, and then the defense to just keep foaming at the mouth and get after a beaten-up quarterback. That's your difference along with special teams.
Justin, do you have something for us?
Soon?
Yeah, let me make another quick point here, because I did see a front seven that was flying around a lot more today. You felt the difference. Didn't see much Marquez Watson Trent. You felt the difference with Dawson Merritt on the field. Him and Shavers back there, along with Javen Wright. Javen was flying around. Shavers was flying around. Merritt was slightly under the radar, but he was doing some of the dirty work, taking on blocks, flying around. You saw a faster linebacker core. That was one of the things that stood out to me today. They played fast. They read and reacted fast, and they just were flying sideline to sideline faster than what we've seen from the linebacker core this year. That was one of the differences I saw. I think you saw defensive backs that were willing to stick their nose in there and tackle a little bit better today. Sierra Wright, how many times do you see him flying in to make a tackle on a ball carrier?
Same with Marshall.
I thought those two guys were spectacular. And finally, just because I want to hit all three levels of the defense, I thought particularly McCullough and Winery off of that edge were causing a lot of issues. And in Michigan State, they've kind of had a revolving door of tackles so far this season, so you expected it from those two guys to kind of go take advantage of that. But those dudes were playing with their hair on fire all game long. The interior was just all right, but those two guys on the edge combined with the linebackers made for a much, much better front seven performance. The defining trait that I saw with that front seven today was they were just faster.
They looked a lot faster. Keona Davis also early in the ball game I thought was good. A quick timeout. Let's keep this short. Line up the phone calls here at 489-1240. Real Red Reaction. Nebraska survives Michigan State 38-27. We're here at the Single Barrel, powered by Slim Chickens. Real Red Reaction. Numbers to get in, 489-1240, 800-825-5865. Back shortly.
A woman in the U.S. is diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that split-second moment in time, her life changes forever. The toll of breast cancer is great. The need to support those who are battling the disease today is even greater. And that's why when others look away, Susan G. Komen leans in. We're fighting alongside patients because we know one moment can change a lifetime. Fighting breast cancer takes funding for research to discover the next new treatment, providing access to quality and affordable health care, and people willing to take action by raising funds and raising their voice to advocate for others. United by hope, we can end breast cancer. Join our fight. Save lives.
KFOR is now available in high-definition stereo.
This is the good stuff.
Listen in your HD radio-equipped vehicle. Lincoln's local news. Talk, sports, and weather station. This is the Real Red Reaction Show. Phones are open now. 402-489-1240.
We're powered by Slim Chickens, 489-1240, 800-825-5865. Good to hear from Rock in the stream. We invite you to check out the show on air, KFORnow.com, 1240 AM, 1015. and also YouTube with the Average Joe YouTube channel, Real Red Reaction YouTube channel. We head out to Cali. Tad, welcome into Real Red Reaction. Tad, go for it. Thanks for listening.
Hey, great win on special teams. Great win. But this is what we're going to be up against, guys. It's going to be the heartache kids. And it's just good to see. And we got to all start thinking positive. But like I've been saying in my texts, that we have got to get a program that can really pound the football. And we got to get those big guys up front. I don't know what we've been doing for the last 3, but we can't keep getting Elmer Fudd at tackle. So God bless you guys, and thanks for doing such a great job.
That's one way to put it.
Chad, we love you. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. It is problematic and what I watched Michigan State do on a couple of the pressures. Well, there was lots of pressures, but in the first half alone, 6 hurries, 3 sacks on Dillon. We'll get the total sack number here in a moment. But what Sparty did is they would send a nickel, right? And some of the times it was the tackle, some of the times it was the back who went to go help the tackle on the outside. And here came another free rusher from the secondary to get free and make the hurry or the pressure. But Rock checking in, when Nebraska can run it for touchdowns inside the 10, we can proclaim them as back. Nice win, but not back yet. They are searching. I think they're searching in the red zone for sure with what the bread and butter can be. And I think they're searching with, I think they're really playing tug of war. I think there's this want to showcase your 5-star quarterback. I think there's this discipline of, all right, I like throwing the football. That's what I do as in Dana Holgerson. And the offense is built around what can you do to showcase your quarterback. And sometimes that gets in the way of how comfortable you win the football game. He's a reason you win football games. He's a reason Nebraska scores points. But it feels like sometimes they're trying to make him the lead in the story. And Dana knows better than I do with what the offensive line can and can't do, and what he trusts and what he believes from a running standpoint. But right now they're just not as physical as they need to be.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong here. Didn't Nebraska have, I think they were 2 of 3 inside the red zone converting on touchdowns. They had a field goal on the other one, which was there a sack that backed Nebraska up on that one? I can't remember off the top of my head, but 2 of 3, 66.67 repeating, or 66 repeating on the touchdown conversion rate from the red zone, which isn't great, but isn't bad. I mean, you can live with that. Right.
They had some big plays that they didn't need that prevented them from possibly sputtering in the red zone.
And the 2 touchdowns they had were on rushing plays. It was the double handoff to Emmett, and then you had the handoff to Emmett on the inside on that
23-yard.
The sick counter play late in that football game where Lindenmeyer kicked out and Harburg followed up into the hole. So both your touchdowns in the red zone were running the football from inside the 10-yard line. So I wasn't extremely disappointed with that. I thought Nebraska got a little bit creative with their rushing attack comparatively to previous games inside the 20. I thought that felt like a bit of a step forward. Obviously, you want to go 3 of 3 in the red zone with your touchdown percentage, but I'll take what I saw today. I didn't think that was the biggest issue.
Go ahead.
No, Tim Bob, go for it, bud.
Well, I was just you were talking about Dillon and trying to do too much. I feel like he wasn't. They were disguising their defenses very well, and Holgerson's talked about that he's really good at reading at the line of scrimmage, but he wasn't picking up that blitz. And again, I don't know if it was the tackle or the back that wasn't picking it in, but I felt like they, have got to get the ball out of his hand faster. And he held on to it a couple of times. He patted his chest and said, "That's on me." So, sometimes it's play calling and sometimes players trying to do too much or, wanting that big play down the field. And he's just going to have to take that underneath route quicker. But I thought when they made the adjustments and made him get the ball out of his hand quicker, the offense looked better because defenses are going to load up and come after that offensive line with the blitzes because, I mean, how many sacks have we given up in the last 2 games, right? So, you got to make adjustments as a play caller, but you also got to make adjustments at a quarterback and say, I've got to do this until, we prove we can do otherwise.
And also, it was partly because of the play calling in the second half, Nebraska getting the ball out of Dillon's hands quicker. But you also have to give a shout out to the offensive line because they got their tails whipped in the second quarter by that Michigan State front 7. For them to be able to stay the course and lock back in and be able to give Dillon some time in the second half, sometimes when you're getting your tail whipped, it becomes a mental game as an offensive lineman because the DN's got you in a blender and now you're guessing before he makes the move and he guessed wrong and here's another 15-yard sack. I'll give credit to the offensive line. Were they great today? No, probably a C- to D+ type performance for the offensive line. It wasn't a banner day from them, but I do want to commend them for staying the course. I mean, they did a pretty good job running the football in the fourth quarter, did a better job protecting Dylan Riley. So for those guys to stay the course and kind of flip the script on what the game had been for them up to that point, you have to commend them in what was otherwise a pretty bad day.
The series that really best painted the picture for this game was the 3 plays minus 32 yards. And that was after a punt return to the 28-yard line by Barney. And then you have a sack, you have another sack, you have a 5-yard penalty, minus 15 on the run for 3rd and 27. You end up having to punt from the 42-yard line, your own. And that is going to get you killed against better teams, even having a series like that, let alone it to happen once during a season. So there's still a work in progress with that.
Justice?
Yeah, but I think you also talk about the work in progress, but guys, we're also looking at an incredibly young roster. So I think what we're seeing in full time is kind of the growing pains of a young roster learning how to win in the Big Ten. Not excusing the poor play, but let's just state the facts. This is an incredibly young roster in some serious positions, and they're learning how to win and really saw it in the late third and fourth quarter. That team turned it on. They had the conviction in their eyes. They had a thought in their minds. They were thinking about closing and winning that football game. There was not a thought in their minds of, oh, here we go again. You could see as they were starting to make plays, especially when Dillon rolled out, he had that strike to Ja'Cory Barney on that nice little out and up from the slot. That's when you saw the switch flip and them saying, no more. They're going to go close this football game, and we're going to find a way to put away Michigan State like we're supposed to. That's a young team that's learning how to win. And this is a team that, it's young in some key positions. The defensive line I thought played much more improved these days, and now you get a chance to learn from some growing pains. You get to operate from the win column. You don't have to work from the loss column and say, hey, how do we fix this up? We're coming off a loss. No, how do we fix things up? We're coming off of a double-digit win.
I mean, how many players in this team can you circle that are young this year that you can point out and say it's going to be a problem for a little bit for the Big Ten? Like Merritt and Shavers from the linebacker spot, that is going to be a problem in the Big Ten, assuming you as Nebraska can keep them here. I know the transfer portal era is wild, but assuming you keep those guys paired together, that's a problem for a while. Rex Guthrie, is he a perfect football player right now? No.
He's playing faster, though.
He's playing faster, and you could see the strides made between just Michigan week and this week from a guy like Rex Guthrie. He played more confident today than he did against Michigan. So you see the potential there. Cortez Mills, I thought, looked good. Mekhi Nelson and Mosey, both in limited snaps, look like they're marginally better. Mm-hmm. Emmett is your best guy. I don't hate rolling with him throughout the game. He was pretty lathered up. But you can see some potential with those guys, though they're probably not ready for massive snaps right now. It's a lot of young guys you can circle, Justice. I'm with you. That's a good point.
They're playing young guys. The guys are getting more comfortable.
How about Winery and Petschak on the defensive line?
Winery looked like a monster today. That guy was winning at an incredible rate.
He was nice. And then how about Petschak with that disciplined and fast approach, the choppiness to stay and keep contained on Childs, where Nebraska almost got that lateral recovery that ended up being incomplete, but that was Petschak. How many times do you see Petschak run through a stop sign, run through barricades, and run by the ball carrier earlier in the season? He was much better today, to your point about this youth growing up. Today was a grow-up game. That's one term to use.
And I feel like Nebraska's defensive performance, you look at the score and you see 27 points. 27 points for Michigan State isn't indicative of that defensive performance. I thought they played a little bit better than that. The offense didn't set them up well with some turnovers on downs, the interception from Raiola.
Fake punt.
Fake punt. They weren't set up great, but that defense was great. The secondary, I think we can end the debate. That secondary is legit. I mean, Childs was in hell reading that secondary.
9 of 23 for the day for Childs, 6 of 7 for Milovic, but it was a bad day throwing for Sparty.
Oh, horrible day throwing for Sparty. That secondary is legit. I mean, Singleton with the 2 interceptions, one of them aided by a great pass rush from, I think, Winery. That really helped on that one. But it did feel like a day where 27 points, you'll look back at the end of the season and you won't think of this as a banner day for the defense. I think this is the day where the defense, the front 7 grew, and the secondary proved to me they are legit. They're going to be a problem for most teams that you go play in the Big Ten.
It was nice to see Tim Bob and Justice and Elijah 489-1240 to get in on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. We're here at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate 9th and P. But it was nice to see a lot of that first half, especially early on, before Childs got a little bit loose, second, third quarter with the scrambles. About every time he was doing a traditional drop back, you had somebody in his face, someone hitting him, someone digging him. Scott coming through to rescue us.
Oh, God bless you, Scott.
Hey, what about the hurdle on the pass rush in the first quarter?
Yeah,
Javen Wright.
That was fabulous, and
that was big time. But
it was a better job of good rush. I mean, they talked about during the week getting more hats to the football. I thought that was big on the defense. You didn't have a lot of the single one-on-one tackles in space. You had players rallying to the ball, getting a lot of hats on the bringing down the ball carrier. And so, again, I think the defense played better. Again, in the era of NIL, I'm with Gray Lady. You can't use the young player. You're going to have a turnover roster every year. So, you're going to have to step up. But I thought, I feel like a lot of this offensive struggles was a little bit on Dylan and saw a growing pain. But I'm with you. Made the adjustments, made the changes, got the offense, got the touchdowns you needed late. And this is how you win in the Big Ten, right? It's going to be back and forth. But I thought the defense played much better, as you've already shouted out. Special teams was better. Offensive line is still a work in progress.
Well, and that's one of the things I said yesterday and in our pregame show, that whenever you have two teams that are both coming from the middle class of the Big Ten, the game is going to be won on 5 to 10 plays throughout the course of the game. There's a lot of parity in that middle of the Big Ten. Nebraska won more of those 5 to 10 important plays than they lost. We look at the blocked punt. I mean, you have the fake punt. That's a win for Sparty. You have, in the third quarter, after the interception, there's some big plays. I think there was a big third down that Michigan State goes and converts in there. Or was it fourth down? It was the fourth down they converted. So Michigan State had a couple plays. But for the most part, you look at the interceptions. You look at the long screen play in Isaiah Hunter at the end of the game that really ices it. In the 5 to 10 most important plays this football game, Nebraska won those plays. That's a sign of encouragement, despite that it did look ugly at times. That's going to be the middle of the Big Ten. There's not huge gaps between these teams. I think Nebraska was the better team today. I think the final score indicates they're the better team today. But it's such fine margins that middle of the Big Ten. I mean, you can credit Nebraska while saying, was the performance great? No. You can credit them for winning those must-have plays whenever you needed to have a play. That's what allowed you to win this football game.
Well, we have been pretty unanimous with what flipped the game for Nebraska. It was 3rd and 10. It was Raiola, despite the pressure, rolling, finding Barty, touchdown, a play later with Emmett, and that tied to the 21. That did it, because I think guys, let's talk a little bit here about the fake, because and Matt Rule, will hear from Coach Rule here in a little bit. Why? And I know you're kicking into a win. I know you just went 3 and out and got sacked. I'll have to go back and look at the complete series, but we know how a lot of the drives started and ended up. Eventually, you got hit for a TFL and it derailed you, and it was 2nd and 17. So Nebraska decided to fake it on their own side to seize some momentum or at least keep the football up 14-7. And that blew up on them. That backfire, that started the Sparty run. But Nebraska came back, took control to tie it, and you haven't seen that in a long time. There's been games in Husker history where Nebraska's had to fight tooth and nail against a team to just outlast somebody, but they did it at home. This ends their little homecoming, and now they can figure it out. And let's see who's got a little more juice to them next week in our nation's capital. Is it a team that just blew a 20-point lead and got beat 24-20, or is it Nebraska that got scared to death for a little bit and found a way to punch back? You just don't know. You got to feel pretty good, though, with the win for sure. The offensive line, though, is something we can talk about.
Let's go back to the fake punt just briefly. Eckler identified two things. It was punt coverage and the punt return for Michigan State. He thought he could get one with the block. He did. He identified at practice in the past week and a half that Michigan State had what he thought was a liability with that fake punt that they ran. My problem was the timing of when you pulled it out, because your offense was sputtering. And even if you pick up that fake punt,
seems so desperate, doesn't it?
Even if you pick up the fake punt, I didn't have confidence that Nebraska was going to be able to pick up a first down after that. I hated the timing of it. It felt like you were searching, trying to claw the momentum back. You almost gave it all the way to Michigan State, and that's why you have to credit Nebraska for being able to come back from that moment. Desperate's a right word for you. I didn't think picking up a fake punt was going to spark your offense in that moment. The offense did not give me much confidence at that time of the football game.
You're going to be lining up the punt again.
And add to the fact it was somewhat predictable because Archie was struggling punting into the wind. Somewhat predictable. I didn't think your offense was going to be able to do anything with it, even if you did pick it up. Didn't love the call, but Eckler thought he had something based on the film review they had from Michigan State's punt return team.
Game Dog chimes in, says Raiola taking unnecessary sacks again. Dana's play calling goes haywire at times. The Eck effect. And EJ at 6.4 an attempt on 13 carries. Nelson, there needs to – we'll see if Nebraska can lean on the run game in future contests. So I don't disagree with that. I don't know if it's a faith thing, if it's a can't do it or won't do it thing with trying to establish more of a run game. 489-1240. How do you feel after the win? Are you exhausted? Are you exuberated? Are you a Nebraska fan that just is numb right now? Because there were moments in that game where the stadium absolutely seemed numb, but just when you're ready to set it all on fire, Nebraska, as Al Pacino once upon a time said, they pull me back in. They did that with the touchdown. Things up. Let's check.
Tim Bob, what was that?
No, I was just doing the Pacino reference. They keep pulling me back in.
The only good part of Godfather 3 beside the end credits.
Right, exactly.
Never acknowledge Godfather 3.
No,
Exactly.
You just can't do it.
Well, the Godfather Part 3 wasn't even supposed to be a Godfather tale, but it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Look into it.
We still never acknowledge it.
That is for Average Joe / Real Red Reaction After Dark.
That wasn't supposed to be called The Godfather Part 3. They wanted to have a completely different name, and the studio shut it down. They said, we need everyone to know it's a Godfather movie. It's not a Godfather movie. That being said, before we get to Matt Rule here, I do want to ask the question, because sometimes you hear from the head coach, and his view is different than our view, obviously. It can change the perspectives on the game. Before we go into this, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I have never been more dejected as a Husker fan, with 10 being that was an incredible performance, this is the best day of your Husker fandom, where are you at with that performance?
I think it's a 6 because I'm shocked they came back to win. I thought it was going to go sideways. I thought Sparty'd get a turnover. They did. They did get a turnover. They got the interception, and they went up, and Nebraska found a way to battle back. I don't doubt their resolve as far as trying to come back. But not only did they come back, but then they got comfortable again. They were the better team by a couple of scores. As we're getting photos from Scott.
I'm at about a 5.5 with this, 5 or 5.5, because it was ugly at times. the offensive line is going to need to get better quick. But
I don't, brother. That's a long conversation. They are what they are, aren't they?
But you saw some improvement in that second half.
Yeah.
The consistency, they show that they have it in them to go be a solid offensive line, which makes me think there are things you can go clean up through another week of practice and get better at. And if they are just a C+ to B- offensive line throughout the course of the year, you can still go win some football games. That's like the one thing that sticks out to me is that's rough. How much of that is the weather and the wind, I don't quite know, but I'm with you. The stick-to-itiveness of this team and the way to yank the momentum back after feeling it leave the building, I think is a reason for encouragement. So I'm more encouraged than discouraged by the game, but there is good reason for discouragement because Michigan State's not a good pass rushing team. You made them look like a good pass rushing team. So that's like the biggest takeaway of don't like that.
How much more can you scheme up as the season moves forward if you're Dana Holgorsen to get your offense some balance with running the football and be able to lean on that? Because if you're dropping, the other part of this too we got to talk about is your 3-step, your 5-step drops versus holding it, looking, and the longer developing routes. The guys need to get open, and they did a better job of getting open, or they at least went shorter with the quick game. So, and it's a situation where you made the adjustment. Yeah. You got a little bit of run game going. You made the quick game go, and you didn't get TFL'd to death in the fourth quarter. Or once you got the lead back, that's big. But better late than never, I guess, is the result.
Justice, scale of 1 to 10, where are you at?
I think I'm right at about that 5 mark. I got to factor weather in. I don't think the weather was the most ideal for both teams to play in. But I do think, at points, that game was really touch and go, and there was a pivotal moment where Nebraska could have let it slip. When they got down 21-14, they could have hung their heads and let that one get away. The team rallied together. They put something together. They made adjustments. They were able to, scheme something together, the quick passing game, the run game. The defense really locked it down. I think it's a 5, all things considered. Could have been better, could have been worse, but I think, you take a win and you walk away to the bank and you got to cash it. Where are you at, Tim Bob?
I'm about a 6, maybe a 6.5. I mean, it's a win in the Big Ten. And again, I just have a different perspective. This is a very difficult league and a very difficult league to jump up to those different levels. I thought, Signetti said it good a few weeks ago, to beat the big dogs at their place is a chance. But, we're in the middle of the pack. You're still climbing back up, trying to prove yourself that you can win 1-score games, that you can come back when you're down. Nebraska hasn't been able to do that in a long time. So I'm encouraged that they came back. They gave up the lead. They came back. They found a way to score. The defense got some turnovers. Special teams looked better. I'm with Chris. I'm about a 6 and encouraged. But, I'm always an optimist. So that's just me.
It's all right. Well, and you got a good comment here in the stream from T-Songster 23. In adversity, they had momentum. They kept swinging. Great job. That's an excellent point. And Uncle Sam says nothing to be embarrassed about. 5.5 it is.
That's a great comment.
Yes,
Smitty started reading before he read the whole thing.
I did. We got Big Red Junkies. Check out those fellas. Their podcast, tremendous. A lot of O-line struggles today. Have to go on Holgo if the running back refuses to even throw an elbow, and the OC won't line up more than 5 blockers. The defense will tee off.
Yeah, Emmett, as much as I love Emmett, he is a net positive in pass protection. Mm-hmm. He throws some all right chip blocks sometime. Keeping him in as a 6-man in protection does not go well for Nebraska. I think you could say the same about Lindenmeyer. He's hit or miss as a 6 protector. It comes down to chipping, which does that limit what you get from Lindenmeyer and Emmett? Yeah, but it seems to me to be the only effective strategy you have as an offense in order to get your tackles some help whenever they need it, because Emmett as a 6 protector has been something of a liability so far this season.
You've got Captain asking about Pritchett. The false start was there. And
I'm not worried about that.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean he played.
He gets one.
he didn't play an awful game. I mean, he was, to my knowledge, not the one getting beat off the edge repeatedly.
Yeah, he didn't have a perfect day. I'm at about a B- with Pritchett. Solid, running the football. Wasn't a banner day for his pass protection, but it was better than what you had from the left tackle spot against Michigan. Credit to Gunner making the flip from left to right. I know he's played that a lot throughout his career, but it's a tough flip to make midseason to go from left to right. I mean, it's like driving on the wrong side of the road after you've been working on the left side through all fall camp and through the season. Was he perfect? No. But I think there was some reason for encouragement moving forward through tackles. At the end of the day, it always feels better in a win. If you lose that football game, I think our take of the tackles is probably different. But they settled in and got better as the game went on, and gave Dylan some time to throw, which also comes down to Holgerson making some adjustments, letting Dylan get the ball out quicker, which helps your tackles because those ends don't feel like they can pin their ears back as much, and Michigan State can't bring pressures like they were early in the football game.
489-1240, 489-1240 to get in. Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens. Talking Nebraska able to win a shootout, a roller coaster ball game that was back and forth, up and down. Robert said checks in, says they would made too much out of going into the wind, got into their heads. Michigan State's backup had no issues pushing it downfield into the wind. We'll get some more comments. Justin said Cincinnati won. Yeah, Cincinnati looks all right.
Cincinnati looks good.
Yeah, they look pretty nice. Ran for almost 300 yards.
Iowa State had also had one of the worst lateral plays I've ever seen at the end of the game. Did you guys catch that?
That was pretty funny.
They're ladling the football around, the time hits zero, and the Iowa State ball carrier just runs out of bounds.
Well, he's walking home.
It's almost like Russell Wilson throwing it out of the back of the end zone on fourth down. The game on the line.
Or Nico against Arkansas, where he trots out of bounds with no time left.
Hey, I'll give Nico a pass today. He balled out against Penn State.
Yeah, at least they got their first win of the season against somebody else. Gray Woman 79 says, didn't expect the game to get on my nerves like this. You've got, I don't know if it's that James Williams, but a James Williams, emotional roller coaster.
If it's that James Williams, oh boy, he's got some.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to be on your phone an hour into kickoff against Miami. Yeah. But roller coaster game like this, I'm here for it. Very exciting, very entertaining. And if you laid the 10.5, do we need to go to break first before
we're going to break in a second, but with this roller coaster nature, it's still one of my biggest takeaways. The fact that you're able to get out of this game with a win, because you have seen that game over the past 5 to 10 years where Nebraska jumps out early, the opponent takes control midway through the game in the third quarter. Now you're fighting from behind and you can never reclaim that momentum. You've seen that story before. And Nebraska ends up losing by 7, they end up losing by 4, whatever it may be. That wasn't Nebraska today. To be able to take that momentum after they left the building, reel it back in, and go get a win, that's one of the most positive signs of encouragement you could have. You got the 1-score victory against Cincinnati to kick off the season. That felt like a step forward in that regard. Today it was, you start the game off strong, you lose all the momentum. You've seen so many times Nebraska not be able to get that momentum back in a football game. They end up losing to an inferior team that you should be beating. Today, you get the momentum back. You ride the roller coaster of the game. You understand, hey, what goes down must come back up with the momentum. And that's a little simplistic because Nebraska did a good job getting that momentum back, getting the crowd back into the football game. But that is an ultimate sign of encouragement for me because I don't think the 1-score issue is behind you with Cincinnati. I'm not convinced there. I'm not convinced that Nebraska is going to always claim the momentum back, but it's a step in the right direction, both of those regards, with the win against Cincinnati and the win today.
Well, you were up 14 rip and had a chance to keep adding to it, and you didn't. Sparty came all the way back, 21 unanswered, and then you righted the ship. Duck saying, look, Nebraska lucky to go 2-2 in October. That's interesting, and it could be real. We'll see if Nebraska uses today. Put that back up if you could, Justice. Jeff Snitley, part of the Boulder Peace Treaty here, says,
he's talking trash about
he's talking about James Williams. Yeah, he's waiting to go in. Rush the quarterback. Well played. A timeout, and then we will hear from Matt Rule. We'll also hear,
and it's also
likely from the Pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman.
We also say goodbye to Tim Bob Kitzmiller.
Tim Bob.
I'm jumping out. I got to drive back to Lincoln, so go Big Red.
Hey, buddy, there he is. Tim Bob Kitzmiller, appreciate you jumping on. Good to see you. A quick timeout here on Real Red Reaction. We're powered by Slim Chickens here, 84th at Old Shady, 14th in Pine Lake, and now a new North, 83rd location. That was released this week.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it released?
Yes.
All right, I didn't know that, but good to know.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
So 3 locations.
Soon to be 3.
And you'll have great reviews from Justice Rhodey and Elijah Herbal, who crushed. I think they ate poor old Slim Chickens out of house and home. Coming up, the Pride of Fairbury is here. We'll do a quick break. We'll get a Bill Dolman take, and then we'll have Matt Rule. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. Stay with us. Give us a shout, 489-1240. Huskers hang on. They say bring on more roller coaster. 38-27, Nebraska the winner today. A quick timeout. Bill Dolman in the on-deck circle next here on Real Red Reaction on KFOR.
LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. So stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use the promo code BECK. Terms to apply.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-936-9033. 800-936-9033. 800-936-9033.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guys in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Don't just get a second quote, get a second opinion with Harley's Heating and Air.
For a limited time, receive a free second look from our expert technicians. Our team is trained to diagnose and recommend repair options. Harley's Heating and Air. Our second look could save you big.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal, book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Severe weather in Nebraska could be a matter of seconds between life and death. Before, during, and after, you can count on KFOR's Operation Stormwatch.
Anything goes. Anything can be said. The Real Red Reaction Show is live now on KFOR.
Back here at the Single Barrel Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens, 14th in Pine Lake, 84th at Old Shady. North 83rd, maybe it's 93rd. I'll have to get the official notes from
83rd.
83rd.
It's by my place. I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, yes. Elijah will have a fold-out camping chair 4 days a week in the parking lot of the North 84th Slim Chickens. We are here at the Single Barrel. Pour yourself a whiskey. They have 200 to choose from.
Please.
So come buy us a whiskey.
200 whiskeys to choose from. A big old steak. Celebrate a Husker victory, a comeback victory. And the Pride of Fairbury with us, Bill Dolman, the original OG Average Joe, as we're hunkered down here kind of by the buffet table. Bill, you and I were exchanging texts during it.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
It was doom and gloom, like this ain't going to go the right way, fellas. It turned out like it was going to go the right way. As soon as I unjinxed Nebraska, Dylan hit the play of the game on 3rd and 10 that eventually got him that score. A play later to Emmett Johnson that flipped everything after going for a fake punt. You had a blocked punt. You had a 82-yard punt return called back. You had penalties and Christmas gifts handed out early. When it comes to third down and Holdridge Street, third down and forever. Sparty 17 plays, finally got in the end zone. You get off the field there, hold them to 3, or get off the field. You're up 14-0.
These teams were trading presents for the other teams more than the Budweiser Clydesdales.
Yeah, a lot of gifts left. What say you about today? Give me the word. I say relief.
You see relieved?
Relieved.
You also said drunk off the air.
I said on air too.
Okay.
I am not. That's how the game was.
I think there's more than one word. Fortunate.
Yeah.
Fortunate would be one, but if I had multiple, there's some fool's gold there.
Okay.
Look, the win over Cincinnati looks better week after week after week, and I'm not sure that if Nebraska played Cincinnati this week that they would have beaten Cincinnati.
Fair.
Nebraska ends up either covering or coming close to covering.
They covered.
Because I'd heard 12.5 right before the game.
Some of us got it at 10.5.
Congratulations. No wonder you've been drinking already. It just seems there's some fool's gold there. That if I'm Maryland and I'm Minnesota and I know I've got Nebraska coming to my place the next couple of weeks, Michigan and Michigan State both developed a perfect blueprint on how to maybe not beat Nebraska, but scare the hell out of them and expose them and, rush the passer. Nebraska, I thought, was really good against the run today. Childs had that weaving run.
Other than the scramble.
Yeah, that was a weaving run. But I thought Nebraska was really good against the run, against an offensive line that is not what Michigan has. And I'm not sure Nebraska is going to face an offensive line like Michigan's, maybe the rest of the season. So if they go against a relatively similar O-line, I think Nebraska has the wherewithal to create some creative plays defensively that they can mask for them being a little smaller on the D-line because they are a little more athletic. So I think Nebraska found some remedies and antidotes, to be able to beat lines that are relative to them. But Nebraska's offensive line, Michigan State had 2 sacks all year, something like that coming into the
6.
game. But they were not a ferocious defense, and they just decided we're gonna do what Michigan did and just bull rush, harass, and we'll eventually get to it.
Does it not give you a little confidence, though, that Nebraska's offensive line was able to reel it back in late in the third quarter and fourth quarter? I thought the offensive line was doing a much better job protecting Dylan. Is that not, if you want to be a glass half full optimist, does that not give you a little something that you can say, you know what, at least the offensive line reeled it back in when things seem to be falling apart for them?
Well, I think you got rid of the ball a little quicker, for one, as opposed to holding on. And look, and the big play was into the wind. The wind was a huge factor in this game. There's no question about it, but it can't be an excuse as to why Nebraska was so, I don't want to say inept, but was not much of an offensive threat through 2.5+ quarters. That the pass play was into the wind, and the touchdown by Johnson on the ground was was going into that south end zone. But make no mistake about it, Nebraska, because of the elements, couldn't do what it wanted to do. But because Nebraska doesn't have a threat to run at quarterback, then even with Nebraska having the wind behind them, it's still it's more one-dimensional offense. So what do? Bull rush the guy, and they did it.
What do you think of Nebraska's rushing hierarchy? What I mean by that is when it comes to some of Dana's favorite plays or trusting plays, is it just as simple, and don't overthink it, that he wants to throw the football because they've got a quarterback that they want to show throwing the football? They want to go try and win the football game, yes. So my thought is he believes that's the best way to go do it, and it's what he knows best. But they need to run it. They leaned on the run a little bit today, or at least they got big plays out of the run game, which will maybe help him call more run plays, but they just don't do anything with it in the red zone. They're going east to west every time they try and do run it into the red zone, they're throwing a jump ball in the red zone.
The one thing about Nebraska's running backs over the last couple of games and since Cincinnati, and look, let's put Akron and Houston Christian aside, okay? Sparring partners in boxing don't count as matches. So Akron and Houston Christian were nice feel-good games, okay? Nebraska's east-west running at the line is sidestep left, sidestep right, sidestep. It's like watching a country line dance, which I hate. It's not running. It's not running. It's they dance when they get to the line of scrimmage. There is so much hot step footwork and not blasting through and hitting the crease hard. I mean, today there were plays upfield because from our vantage point, which is way high, you saw some big gaps open up, and they took advantage of it. But when there's not much room to go, they don't go create their own space. It's dance, 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 left, right, sidestep, sachet, 2-yard gain. So there's not that threat of the big play, but also there's no threat at quarterback to run. And you said it. They want to. Are they calling plays because they want to showcase what he can do? That's all he can do. He did have 2 runs in that first drive. That was great. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to see something new. But then once Michigan State decided, yeah, we can bull rush like Michigan did, then he had happy feet and collapsed in the pocket. Look, he came through with some big plays, and that pass, in the third quarter was money into the wind. Oh. Great play. But that is fool's gold for what transpired over a vast majority of the game. And then Michigan State's long drives, total buzzkills.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, can I ask the question?
That was like the Lawrence Welk show when you're a kid.
Can I ask the question, though? Whenever you talk about the defense, do you think they played better than 27 points on the board for Michigan State would make you believe? I know you have the long drives, some of those aided by penalties. Michigan State momentum. Also, Michigan State aided by some good starting field position, an interception, a turnover on downs, a fake punt that didn't go well for you. Do you think that might be a little bit of fool's gold for Michigan State, the fact that they did put 27 points on the board? Because I left the game feeling
that's a good point.
Slightly more encouraged by Nebraska's defense.
That's a good point. I would cede that to you. Their long drives were killers. It sucked the life out of the crowd. Oh, my God. It was like much of the game was like watching a bad warm-up band at a concert, like, oh my gosh, we got to endure this for 45 minutes before Motley Crue comes on or Ozzy.
Stone Temple Pilots coming.
But I thought Nebraska's defense was better than 27 points given up because they really flew around the football.
They were good at the front 7. Singleton was muddy as well. Let's hear from Matt Rule.
Yeah, how long is this, Justice?
It is 12 minutes and 11 seconds.
Okay,
Perfect.
Let's hear from Matt Rule. Pride of Fairbury's here with us at the Single Barrel Real Red Reaction. 489-1240 to get in. 800-825-5865. How are you feeling after the win? Exhausted, exuberated, numb? You can fill in the blank as you go. Justice,
I think numbing is the word I gave you during the game.
Justice with us in studio. Elijah Herbal here at the Single Barrel. Bill Dolman, Chris Schmidt. Matt Rule, post-game thoughts. Nebraska hangs on against Sparty.
So I was trying to read the number.
credit to Michigan State. I thought they played really hard. I thought their quarterback was magnificent while he was able to go. Disappointed in how the game ended with the last drive. Defensively, though, other than that, I thought we played really well. We held him under 100 yards rushing. He's a good player, and we knew he'd make some plays. Offensively, we were out of rhythm for a long, long time after that first drive. They made the decision to take the win in the third quarter, so we had it in the fourth. Big play, I thought, was the wheel route to Jacory to get us going at the end of the third, and then we had the win in the fourth. I planned on taking the ball to have the win in the fourth for a game-winning field goal, but they gave it to us anyway. So, probably a good decision by them. They scored 2 touchdowns with it, but we were able to win the game in the fourth. So, scored 38 points, not the cleanest game we've ever had. So we'll try to get better.
Coach, you've kind of talked about these games are ones you like because you have things you can work on and get better at, but you ultimately get the win. Did that feel like that kind of game today? And
I think they're all going to be like that in the Big Ten. Did Penn State lose to UCLA? Yeah. So, I know I say it and everyone kind of rolls their eyes at me but this is what every week's going to be like in the Big Ten now, right? Like you're going all over the country. Every game's going to be a battle. There was the win obviously had somewhat of an effect on both teams today. You can see even the punt game, just the field position, like we kept hanging the ball up and it was going 25 yards. Part of the reason why we went for the fake punt, I call it the fake punt. That's not on Eck. That's on me, so I'll take responsibility for that. And thought we had a great shot at a big play, and just their kid made a nice play. So credit to them.
Outside the fake punt, the special teams today and what it was able to do and how it affected the game. How big of a factor is that?
Yeah, and then we had the punt return. The other punt return for a touchdown. Unfortunately, came back, but we came out. We said we were going to block a punt. Credit to Jameer Khan. Like he prepared all week to block that punt. We told the team he's going to block the punt. Not we hope he blocks the punt. Hey, go block the punt. We said he's going to block the punt. He blocked the punt. Carter scored the touchdown. Should have scored again the second one. So, and you know what? I don't care about the punt. If I'm being really honest with you guys, the punt fake was the right call. Like I'm saying, we're going to put the ball in our guys' hands with a chance to make plays. And we still even had him stopped on that drive. It was 4th and 4. We came unblocked. We trust our defense. And so we're not going to make our decisions based just on the results. We trust our players, and that's the biggest thing. That game right there, Sam, that was UCLA to me last year. That felt like it at the half. It felt like come on, guys. And you know what? They went after it. And, they didn't just sit back. We just kept battling and fighting. That's been my challenge to our guys. 60 minutes of us playing hard is going to be hard for teams to withstand. And in the end, it's basically a 17-point win. Think about that. We're losing at the end of the third quarter. We win by 17. Unfortunately, we gave the last drive. Sorry.
How hard was just the flow to manage just with the win? I mean, you go from 9 minutes of the first quarter with the win. You don't get the win again until the fourth quarter. Just go that long and have to manage.
I think it was unique in that, you never want to make – so none of this is excuses. It's just the way it went, right? Like we scored and then we blocked the punt. So we went a long time without our offense really playing. And so it was like, hey, we have to get in rhythm now. And then all of a sudden, we just couldn't get in rhythm. But then on the flip side, the same thing happened to them. We went down, we had a long touchdown drive, and then they hung the ball up in the air. And then they never scored again to the last drive. So, offense is so much rhythm. Like Dana, he kept trying to get in rhythm. They kept trying. Finally, they hit that big play on the wheel. And credit to Luke Lindenmeyer. He's supposed to pin the end lined it up outside of him. Luke just turned out and blocked him. Dylan went up inside. And they, I was really proud of Dylan today. Early on there, I was kind of like, hey, hang in there. And he just he just kept getting angrier and angrier and finally exploded. But I think it was more like that, just long stretches without the ball and trying to get back out there. And that's what Michigan State does. They run the ball and they try to eat up clock. At one point, they were 2 of 10 or something, or 1 of 7 on third downs, but he was just making plays on the scrambles. And we sacked him a bunch of times. Probably would have sacked him way more if he wasn't so elusive.
Was there anything more to that moment that you had the wheel route there? And that's right when Michigan State had gone ahead for the first time. Do you feel like that snapped something in your guys at all?
Well, we were my whole point was they just get to the fourth quarter with the wind at our back. And, we're just going to go win the fourth quarter. It was 3rd and 9. We were kind of out of rhythm. We got him outside the pocket, and that was a great play design. We ran a similar play last week, that one that Isaiah caught that, he unfortunately stepped out of bounds on, but it was a different play, and we just ran it off of that. And it was a game plan play that worked. And, I just feel like, at the end of the day, when you put the ball in Dylan's hands and Jacory Barney's hands, something good's probably going to happen. And, they found a way to make it happen. And then I think after that, obviously the kickoff it was beneficial. I wanted to get to the fourth quarter by kicking into the wind. They misfielded that ball. And, that was a 10-point swing, obviously.
How do you feel about just the pass rush? I mean, you hit Childs a lot today.
It looked like we were getting there. They had everything they could to slow you down. They were running the zone reads and stuff that slows you down because you're trying to play all that. But He just could have hit mute. He didn't have to run out. And so it looked like we were getting there a lot. But again, our whole focus this week, our whole defensive focus was stop the run, no big plays to 1 and 6 and tackle 2. And so, they held them under 100 yards rushing. So, I know we're not very good run defense, but we were today. and I mean that sincerely. We haven't been a good run defense. Well, today we were. And so that's a challenge to our guys. But then the quarterback, we didn't tackle the quarterback well enough. So I've said it on record many times. I love this team. Even at the end, Sierra, I was very positive. And then Sierra got up and he was furious about that last drive that we let that backup quarterback move the ball down the field. So they're hungry for more. But I don't want to minimize how good 2 is. I think he's excellent. And he's done that to everybody. Because because we stopped the run, it became more of a drop back type game and a movement game, and he was able to make plays. He's a good player.
And you mentioned it earlier about growth, about last year, kind of reminded you of last year. How much growth have you seen? And did this really prove that you're headed in a positive direction?
Yeah, we're not trying to prove anything to anybody. That's the biggest thing for us. Our guys have done a good job of blocking out everything. I mean, that's the second game in a row we've been booted home. Our guys are out there and they're mad. Dylan's yelling at the crowd. I'm like, don't yell at the crowd. They paid their money to come here, right? You know what I'm saying? They're paying $12 for a beer. You know what? It's part of the game. Go play well. When you're not playing well, go play well. And so we're not trying to prove anything. We're trying to play good football, and it's really hard. The Big Ten is hard. And it's not we're not focused. They got good players too, and they game planned us too. And so I think the biggest thing is we just keep hanging in there and playing. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think this is a game in previous years we might would have lost, or not went the way it went. But we end up with a 17-point lead, and then we give up a touchdown. They're mad afterwards. So I like the mindset where it's headed. There's a ton of things we have to clean up. There's a ton of things we have to get better at. We are not a perfect team. We have to play around all of our things. But I also say we show up every week, even when it's not perfect. Our guys show up. Even the Iowa game last year, you can't say we didn't show up, right? So our guys show up every week since that UCLA game last year. And this was the first game that kind of felt sneaky like that, ugh. And even at halftime, the coaches kept saying, come on, you did the defense. Come on. I'm like, you need pep talks? They scored 7 points. We need a pep talk? What are we talking about here? So it's just growing. I thought John Butler was awesome today. On the headset, he was fiery. He was scary almost. The Philly in him came out. And I thought a lot of our guys hunted and played well. So like I said, this team scored a bunch of points again last week against USC. I mean, they're a good team.
Why did you guys decide to make the changes you did at offensive tackle? How did you think it went?
I have to watch the film. I hate to comment on it because, there were some things there's some things today where it's probably on the quarterback. There's some things today it's probably on the wide in terms of a couple of the sacks. They brought a safety. We got I forget which sudden change it was. We got the ball and we took a shot at a big play touchdown, and the safety blitzed and the tailback didn't go back and block him. So it's just one of everybody in that kind of stretch where we were out of kilter. But it certainly didn't feel like last week. There were times it did, in the middle there. But once we kind of got in rhythm, I thought we were good. So anxious to watch the film. See how those guys played, but we love everybody, but it felt like, hey, this is we need Pritchett's size and strength, and he's been getting better and better and better. We have not played him to get him to grow, and he's grown, and so we felt like he's earned the right to play. And Gunnar and Teddy were ready at right tackle. We went with Gunnar for most, I think, the whole game. So I'll see the tape. Sorry,
you mentioned Dylan and the frustration, and you said getting angry in the second and third quarter when it was sputtering offensively. Was he reacting the way that you would want him to react?
Yeah, I have to go back and look at everything because it's easy in the moment to be like, is he looking at the rush? It's just but maybe the in cut's not quite wide open, and he's protecting the ball and all those things. Even the interception in the third quarter was so reminiscent of the end of the game at UCLA. And if you guys remember the times I've talked to you about sitting in the cafeteria the one day in camp and sitting there with Dylan, him watching the UCLA game was on the Big Ten Network, and him being like, shoot, it's a 7-point game in the fourth quarter. And I said, yeah, bro, they're all going to come. Don't panic. And so I love what he did after that. I felt like there was a little time there in the middle where it was just kind of like, oh, what's happening? At some point, I want to see I want Dylan angry. I want in the moment locked in, but I want a fired up, blood in his eyes Dylan, because that's the best Dylan that there is, and the guys will fight for him. And but other than that, I can't say exactly how everything else went. You know what I'm saying, Mitch? There were so many things that were happening that was going fast. I'll have to watch the tape to really, really dissect some of the X and O stuff. But I thought the play, I'll go back one more time to the double post wheel to Ja'Cory. I thought that's the play that kind of ignited us and gave us a shot.
Sean Singleton, 2 interceptions and almost had a scoop and score. They called it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that ball was forward when they called it. Everyone's celebrating. I was like, second down, get ready. No, I'm so proud of Deshaun, and I hope everyone saw. This week we put out the thing about him and his brother. It's just so great when you see good people do good things. Now, the guy takes his brother in, and I'm just, and his brother. Here his brother is. He's on our team. He's doing well in school. Like, you think about it, he went from getting shot at and fearing for his life to now he's a college student here, and so that's who Deshaun is, and so. I love him. I'm so happy to see him make plays on the ball. Butler was ripping him for not scoring, like he should have scored on those plays. But, and it was a credit to our pass rush. And even those plays, he stepped up versus zone and was throwing the ball. We were intercepting the ball. So I thought our pass rush really came alive this game. It looked like from where I was standing.
Was there a moment of just kind of joy when Hunter breaks free and the shoe comes off and you go get the shoe?
Yeah. Well, and I ran out there because their kid went down, too. I was making sure he was okay. But yeah, like I just think like sometimes even our guys, they think like it all comes down like, let's call this play. Like, it's not. It's great players making plays, right? And so like Isaiah made that catch, and Lindenmeyer makes his block, and then left guard or some of the center, I don't know who it was, makes their block. But then shoe comes off, and that's who Isaiah is, man. He's like I told you guys before, he's a tailback. He's in the 90s. He'd have been like an I formation tailback. Like, what I'm saying? Like, that's who he is. He's a guy with the ball in his hands. He was hot today. Dana kept saying like, we got to get the ball to Isaiah. We got to get the ball to Isaiah. So really happy to see him do that. And just the fact shoe came off and he was ready to play. That was great.
How'd you feel for Carter Nelson getting a touchdown?
Yeah, happy for him. He just gets better and better and better. Happy for Jameer that he blocked that kick, and happy for, Jameer's told a lot of stories to us about, eating, lifting in the student center at his last school, great school, no disrespect, but like coming to this facility, how grateful he is. And if you could see that moment, Dylan, you see Dylan hit me and I limped for the rest of the game, but the joy on the entire team, because how much they love Jameer, like how hard he practices, how hard he does everything. Like, just when you see a guy block a punt and Carter score a touchdown, the guys love Carter, they love Jameer, and how they all celebrated. I thought that was really great. And, Carter did some other really good things in the game, caught the screen, unfortunately we had a 15-yard on that play. All right, thanks.
That is Matt Rule, and a lot of response to some questions. Bill Dolman with us, Elijah Herbal, Justice Rhodey, Chris Schmidt. We're here at a packed single barrel inside the Graduate 9th and P, where we're at for every pregame and postgame home football Fridays and Saturdays. Huskers hang on and get it handled 38-27. Some without watching the tape, some reality there from Matt Rule in the moment. And he is very matter of fact, and Nebraska fans for the longest time, when it comes to Big Ten action, fellas, these games slip away. That's not been the case this season so far when it comes to one-score games or high drama or moments of adversity. Nebraska's responded or found a way to do so. When Mo's wearing the other team's colors, that's to be commended. They look faster and a little bit more competent and concentrated defensively. They looked way better defensively today. There's more guys around ball carriers. Guys are going to make plays. Rules just kind of laying it out there and trying to leave some breadcrumbs about how life will be in the Big Ten. The difference is, instead of being 20-17, they're now 38-28 ball games. There are more shootouts in the Big Ten, at least this season, as you've got better quarterback play. But Nebraska won't apologize. They'll try and fix before they head out to our nation's capital and take on Maryland.
You shouldn't apologize. I mean, every single team, we talked about this earlier in the week, aside from 1 to 2 teams a year, has some sort of flaw within their team. And even those national champion type teams are going to have a flaw somewhere in their team. They're going to try to hide that. Nebraska showed off some of its flaws today more than you would like. But I think it is a testament to them in this program turning the corner. It's kind of what Ja'Cory Barney had to say in his postgame as well. We're not going to get to that. But the fact that they had this game, lost all the momentum in it, and still stayed the course late in the third quarter into the fourth to steal the momentum back, I think it speaks to the step that this program is taking in the right direction, that whenever everything was against them and the juice out of Memorial Stadium. Husker fans had the, oh no, here we go again type mentality. They're able to stay the course, get back into the football game, and go and win it in crunch time. I think it says that this team is turning the corner. Are they perfect? No, far from it. Do they have their flaws? Yes, a lot of teams have their flaws. You're going to keep on working to find ways schematically and personnel-wise to hide some of your flaws, but it's a step in the right direction that you're able to snatch momentum back in this football game and go and win it.
Look, I thought Nebraska's defense, in listening to him, and we talked earlier, Nebraska's defense was really good. And I thought John Butler did a good job of doing some innovative things and, put a lot of pressure on it and taking advantage of, okay, Nebraska doesn't have a size advantage, along its defensive line, but that ought to come with a quickness advantage and a more athleticism. And I thought that they exposed that because they had guys on the other side of the ball that could not catch, Mwaneri or Singleton or McCullough. Nebraska had kind of an onslaught. There weren't a lot of missed tackles today that I noticed. I thought, Marshall made a great play in space that didn't get made against Michigan, but it got made today against Michigan State. But still, if every team has a flaw, and you're right, the place where you really don't want to have a flaw is on the offensive line. Because I said it yesterday on the show, that is still football at its most simple form, man on man. Can these 5 guys up front block and beat those guys who might be doing all kinds of different stunts and whatever? Can they beat those guys man-to-man? And Nebraska's, unfortunately, in the offensive line, if your offensive line is weak, then you're going to have some problems. I'm not saying it's weak, but it is not matching up to what is coming at them from the other side. You can't tweak the offensive line. I will say this, though. The play of the game, by far, was Justin Evans' blocks on the Hunter touchdown. He snaps the ball, makes a good block that allowed time for the quick pass to be made, and then he busts his ass to the perimeter to make the block that allowed him to score. That was one of the best offensive line plays I've seen at Nebraska for a long time.
And it's harder than it looks. Speaking as a former offensive lineman who wasn't very athletic, to go find that defensive back who's more athletic than you and has the ability to juke you out, to go make contact, drive him into the ground, he made it look easy on that play. That is a tough play to go and make, Bill.
That was the play of the game.
Michigan State has a bunch of dudes. They've got a good coach. They've got an athletic quarterback. It'll be interesting to see. We talked Cincinnati, where they're trending. What happens with Michigan State? I think they have Michigan next.
They have UCLA next.
Okay, well, then they have UCLA next.
Well, and that's a week ago. That's a different conversation, but UCLA looked like a different team today.
Yeah, James is hitchhiking home by the order of his athletic director.
Boy.
But
is UCLA's new Heisel, is that Skippy's son?
Yeah.
Okay, I assume so.
That's Rick Neuheisel's kid. He called
the one with the long hair.
Yeah, he's the one who called the heck of the game.
Hippie
just got off the beach.
Looks like he just graduated high school.
Well, yeah, he was here in 2013, I think, as a backup, and popping around the sideline. But Huskers get it handled today. More of your comments in the stream. Ed Foley in saying Dilly holds the ball way too long. What is the thought here moving forward with Nebraska? And we've kind of beat the old dead horse, or the Clydesdale, so to speak, with Nebraska's run game, the inconsistency of it and the inconsistency of going to it. But when it comes to these pass plays, the longer crossers, the deep shots, all the stuff that Nebraska can do, but right now the shift, fellas, into that second half was quick passing game. You maybe see that earlier next week, depending on. Now, Michigan State, it wasn't a fire drill early in this game. They didn't initially get pressure because you jump out 7-0, then it's 14-0. But Michigan State, when Nebraska was going into the wind, said, let's just come after them.
Well, I am a little bit surprised. Nebraska with the running backs, Emmett, Mackay, and Mosey, which Mackay and Mosey had 4 total carries. Emmett had 13. Still averaged 6 yards per carry from a running back carry point of view. And I think it was for a total of the running backs ran for, do some quick math in my head here, 103 yards.
Mm-hmm.
The sacks hurt you. Dylan lost 17 yards there. So, I mean, but the running backs got you 100 yards on the ground, 6 yards a carry. I was a little surprised whenever the going got tough for Nebraska in that second quarter, in that third quarter, whenever they're getting the ball in decent field position near midfield, which they had a couple times. A little surprised they didn't try to run the football a little bit more. The running game was not, I mean, B? Is that where we're at with the running game today? The sacks killed you.
You just didn't, as bad as you were struggling, Justice.
I thought Emmett looked good today.
He was fantastic, but as bad as you were struggling throwing the football or protecting your quarterback, you didn't go to it. And it's 2nd and 17, so you're not going to go to it. I get it. Down and distance dictates that, but you didn't start off drives very often with a first down run.
No,
you didn't do that.
No, just like you were saying, and it's a little bit tough because when you're starting out with a 1st and 10 pass, eventually the defensive line adjusts and pins its ears back and knows it can get after the quarterback. I thought when they ran the ball, the interior blocking on the offensive line was spectacular. Rocco Spindler, you go back to the block where he sprung
him. That was huge.
Sprung him. I mean, just based the guy out and manhandled him. Elijah Pritchett on some crucial short yardage downs just took his guy, grabbed him on the shoulder pads, and just threw him out of the way. I mean, at points it was physical domination in the run game, and they let those guys get downhill, even in the short passing game, when they let Justin Evans get out and spring like Bill was talking about, when he gets out and makes that incredibly athletic play from the center position, and he goes out and springs Isaiah Hunter for a 59-yard touchdown in the short passing game, an extension of the run game if you would. But especially in that downhill running game, I thought when they went between the tackles, it was there today. They were able to get it going. Now if they could add that outside zone element, I think that there would be a little bit more trust from an offensive play calling perspective. But it was much more positive running between the tackles today, which was a concern after Michigan last week.
Let me ask you this. We were talking about, and it kind of goes to Game Dog's comment here, the defense, it didn't feel like the bar tab should have been 27 for them. How about the fact that, I mean, I've kind of bitched and moaned here for an hour and a half about the offense and the inconsistency, and they put up 38. You couldn't dream of 38.
They put up 31. Your special teams got you 7.
But you still put up 30.
Yeah.
You still got to the 30 number.
Yeah.
So let's talk beer half full, half empty. I mean, it can be better. I think
you're blocking the back away from 45 points on the board today.
Right, almost half 100, says Old Barry. So that's interesting. And you found a way to put up 27 against Michigan. I mean, think if they clean up, they get protection, or they go short passing, they lean on some run game or find some things that work, whatever the case may be. Think if they have a game, they put it all together. When will that be? Will that be next week against Maryland? Will they have to have it? Minnesota looms. Northwestern is Northwestern. And you then have Penn State. We'll take a
no break just yet. We got to remind the folks, you're listening to the Real Red Reaction Show, powered by Slim Chickens, here on KFOR Lincoln. That's 1240 AM, 101.5 FM. I believe I have done my FCC duty there, making sure everyone knows what station they're listening to.
Thank you for that.
Had to make sure we got that in. It is KFOR Lincoln. I know you need the city in there. Thank you, Rick Alloway, the College of Journalism, for teaching me about that. But I think I have done my duty there. That's what you listen to. We have about 4 minutes here before we got to get off the air. 7 minutes, okay.
7 minutes on air, and then a few more minutes to straggle along after dark on the stream. But, yeah, we got to keep telling you that it is Real Red Reaction here on KFOR, powered by Slim Chickens. 3 locations for you.
I know there's folks out there driving home like, man, I'm hungry. I don't want to make myself food at home.
You're in the back seat. You got your DD. You're buzzed out of your mind.
How about some wings and tenders?
Yes, give me both.
Chicken and waffles.
I need a chicken and waffle.
Fried pickles.
Tell me more.
They're incredible at Slim
Chickens.
Chickens.
Then the dessert that let's see if we can get diabetes tonight. Dessert, it's incredible.
That's one way to put it. That's not how I would have said it. I would have said,
I mean that lovingly.
The celebratory Oreo milkshake or you get the banana pudding in the jar.
Guys, I haven't eaten for like 7 hours.
Bill's
so,
mouth is
you're
watering.
killing me
Well,
right
good
now.
thing, Bill. They're
And
at
I'm
the
at the
best.
single
We're gonna get
barrel.
you-
The best steaks in Lincoln are at the single
We're
barrel.
going to get you a steak thicker than my eyebrows from the single barrel. And then, yeah, it is. And then
I was gonna say thicker than Schmitty's hair.
I was going to go
he's-
eyebrows.
he's
And
got
then,
that
and then
good
you're
on.
going to get Slim Chickens round 2 drive-through, 14th and Pine Lake, 84th and Old Shady.
Deal.
And then 83rd up
83rd
by
near
Elijah's
Adams.
joint. Yeah,
Yeah.
83rd and Adams is what we're going to say.
It's not open yet, but it will be. I've been told before spring.
489-1240, 489-1240 to get in. Black Hills Brennan saying, let's get Mark Spindler back for After Dark.
But
if he was that loose to start the day, I can't even imagine after a big win.
Before we get out here, about 5 minutes left. Can we go around, give a grade for the performance today, plus a word to describe? Shmi, I know you led off with the word to describe, but now we've had full reaction here. We've talked things out. A grade and a word.
Had some therapy.
It's been therapy, yes. I'm going to give Nebraska a B. They get a B grade. They won and they covered. They made some explosive plays. They looked better on defense. Inconsistent is the word. So, and then the penalties were killers early and kept Michigan State in it. And then Sparty made some plays. What do you say?
I'm going to go with my word. Shout out Charles Barkley with his Chris Paul, James Harden must-see TV. It's going to be 2 words. It's not going to be just 1 word. My word is incremental progress. Would you like for the progress to be more? Absolutely. It was still a step forward, despite the fact it's not as big a step forward as you would like at this point in Matt Rule's rebuild. It's a step in the right direction. With that in mind, I'm at a B minus. A B minus for this team. I think it's you finish the day as C plus, but you're a half point away, and Bill Dolman rounds you up to a B minus. That's about where I'm at because you get the win.
Go to class.
You get that roundup. Should you have looked better against Michigan State? Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's a win. It's a step in the right direction because you're able to overcome that momentum factor midway through that game that previous Husker teams would have folded under that kind of pressure when the juice leaves Memorial Stadium. It's a step in the right direction, not as big as you'd like. Incremental progress with the B minus.
Bill, what say you?
Well, if you've been in my classes, you know you can't spell Justice Rhodey without an F. But look, there's no question there was a lot of failure, I think, in the middle of the game. But I mean, Nebraska jumps out to the one. I kept thinking, what if? If Michigan State had started the game with a 10-minute drive and Nebraska gets down 7-0, because whenever Nebraska has those drives, they just never get restarted again. But they had a 14-point lead that they earned, and then they finished strong. So I think they went from an A to a D, and then they found a way to win, and they knew what to do with the win going into the fourth quarter, which I think was huge. It was why they lost the Maryland game 2 years ago. They won the game, and it's a B. It's not the A start. It's not the D middle, but I'm willing to give you a B and move you on to the next class, so you don't have to take this one over. But
you don't want to see it again.
There is some fool's gold with Nebraska when you say, "Well, they beat them." It's like last week. There's a lot to like last week when you say, "Well, they only lost to Michigan by 3." It's like you got a Hail Mary, and it should have been probably 2 touchdowns.
Is today the C's get degrees type of game?
It might be, probably, and because you attended class and were there, you paid attention and participated.
We love the effort.
I'll give you a B.
Justice, what's your word, buddy?
I think it's a harsh C plus from me. I think the Dillon interception's bad. The Dillon interception was an awful, awful read. I
Agree.
mean, he threw it right to the guy. You can't miss that. But the running game was pretty solid. Special teams definitely gets an A plus from me. Special teams won you that game. Incredible job. Take Mike Eckler, whatever he desires. But yeah, I thought special teams was incredible. Defensive line definitely made an improvement this week. They showed me they were willing to get active. Butler tried to outthink the room on some things, but I thought overall pretty good job. You had to come back, you had to fight at some moments, but I definitely think that it's a harsh C plus, but a C plus is going to pass you in this instance.
What about the word, Bird?
I think I'll take a page out of Elijah's playbook. I'll go touch and go. It's kind of touch.
Okay, 2 words.
That's 3.
I was thinking
2.5.
I was thinking the other favorite phrase of Charles
we
Barkley.
have to go back here a second. Schmitty heard touch and go and said 2 words.
3 words.
I think he's thinking with the hyphenated N in, like the touch and go, like with the hyphenated N. So I can see where Schmitty's going there. But yeah.
Like Pam and Pan.
Yeah.
2 ends?
Yeah.
2 ends?
But I think you were thinking of the other Charles Barkley when we were talking about some certain people in San Antonio, something about that. Were you thinking about that?
I want more grades from the streamers. They are excellent academics with the grading. NASCAR Eric goes from A to F to C to B. Now how's that for a roller coaster?
Today's game was to take another page out of Charles Barkley's book. Today's game was Galveston, Texas. That's what it was.
Dirty water.
You're on the beach, but you got that dirty water there. You'd rather be on a better beach, but hey, at least you're on the beach.
That'll do it for us here on Real Red Reaction over the air on KFOR, KFORnow.com. Always stream and check things out that way. We'll stay after dark here on the YouTube channel with the Average Joe and Real Red Reaction YouTube and Twitter with KFOR.
And we keep it live here on the stream. We can cuss now, right?
Let's
kidding.
not roll.
I did have to use the delay dump button, unfortunately.
You used that delay 3 times today with Spindler.
And once on you.
And once on you.
Oh.
You said the B word. You slipped a little B word in there.
Oh, you dumped me for that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That one's on the line. It's gray area.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Thank you.
You weren't referring to a female dog, so
no.
Anyway,
but Spindler was making me become quite liberal.
Well, and I didn't know, like when he was talking about the text his wife sent him about how there was going to be a kick to the nether regions or get punched in the face.
I was hovering. We were hovering.
Yes, you were. That's kind of how the game felt.
We were hovering for a bit.
No, kicking the junk.
No, I was going to say you're hovering over the panic button all game long.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill Dolman looks uncomfortable.
Bill, I was just wondering if we could actually say what we really feel now, but
I think Bill wants food.
Well, it was a kick in the junk. I gotta use the can. You guys talk amongst yourself.
Oh, I'm gonna have to. Which way? You can come out this way, Schmitty.
I don't know. I think Bill wants food right now. I think a good old 8-ounce sirloin would go pretty well as a starter for old Billy D right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fight you on that. Look, there was so the possibility of this thing going so wrong was there, and look. Matt Rule said that Dylan Raiola was yelling at the fans. You know, this is a different game than it was a long time ago when they'd say, well, you can't really yell at them because they're just college kids. And I never really bought into that necessarily. But now you have people who are asked to invest significantly just to be at the game and invest significantly to entice those to come and play football at Nebraska. And look, if you're going to get booed by Nebraska people, that is as polite as probably anywhere. Imagine if you are drafted by the New York Giants, the Chicago Bears, or someplace where, you know, some of the play that they saw, it's pretty vitriolic. So, you know, it's a different era. You got to toughen up, and for a guy like Dylan Raiola, who is going to go play in the NFL someday and make, I shouldn't say significantly more money than he's making right now, because I understand he's making, you know, some okay coin, but you better get used to it. You know, this is a place for you to go and grow and make your mistakes and become the superstar everybody wants you to be. But part of that comes with what comes with the territory is people being dissatisfied that the effort they're not seeing matches the investment that they're making. So I'm glad Matt Rule, I presume what he said in the press conference is true. Hey, don't yell at them, go play better. And the interception was terrible. The pass to Barney for the big play, 45 yards, fantastic. But that interception was more, to me, that was more than just one bad play. I think that was a cumulative moment of bad things had been happening, and there was nerves and bad decision making, and it wasn't just one bad play. That was a culmination of a lot of bad things happening, and that was the result. And you got to grow out of that, but expect that people aren't going to be happy to see it and give you a ribbon for effort.
Well, and Dylan he's a guy that you can see the 5-star billing. You can also see in a game like today, he still has steps to make in his quarterbacking journey. There was 5 sacks today. He's to blame for a few of those.
That's like last week.
Just like last week. He has in terms of pocket presence, he has some steps to take in terms of decision making, knowing whenever to take your loss and throw the football away and live to fight another down. Needs to get better in that regard. He's not a perfect quarterback right now. You can still see why he's a 5-star. He's still Nebraska's best hope at reclaiming relevance, but he's not immune from criticism that we had today.
And I still don't understand why you don't look, pre-plan in a game. If you've got quality players and things aren't going well, get your backup a couple of snaps so that it's against a quality opponent. I don't think, and I'm not calling for a change at starting, but you all know that I grew up in a typewriter era where everybody, guys that busted their ass during the week got an opportunity to play. And I still think it's healthy to come to the sidelines. Let's take a look at what's going on here, settle down a little bit, and now get back out there. You're not getting benched. We're getting a little of experience for the guy who might have to go in, because if you're going to continue to get sacked like this, go ask David Carr what that's like.
Go ask Andrew Luck.
Right, exactly.
Joe Burrow.
I mean, eventually, you continue to take sacks. Aiden Childs got smothered by Elijah Judy. One play. It was never the same the rest of the game.
No, he was off.
Okay, so the amount of times that Dylan gets hit in the pocket or gets rushed and hurried and whatever, eventually it's going to take its toll. And, you got to grow out of that stuff. And
can I ask a question?
Wait, really fast here. Tim Brando has posted a video from a rooftop in the rail yard. His hair's going crazy. He looks like he's having a great time in downtown Lincoln.
Oh, he loves him, the rail yard. Timmy's on the balcony. And he's Timmy B's.
He's having a great time up there.
Yeah, I told you he's on the balcony. What's that old bar called?
It was
Peter McHugh's.
No, the one with that. Well, it had like the whole light wall up top. It closed probably 5-6 years ago.
What was it? Shoot.
Start with that doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, but we'd all been up there at one time or another. But Timmy loves him the rail yard. And it was good to have him on this week. Appreciate him. But that's hilarious. Post that again. I mean, the place is. There's Devin Gardner, still screaming at the memory of Randy Gregory.
His hair going crazy.
Oh, completely. I mean, I went, as Cranack put it, I went hurricane force with the spray tonight. I mean, it's helmet time, baby. But Nebraska making plays here, talking paychecks here from Tuck. No drinks for Bill tonight. AZ Husker with a theory that Rule is afraid Latif is better.
And that's why I said you can see whenever Dylan Raiola takes the field, you can see the 5-star talent. He's just not a perfect quarterback right now. He has steps to make in his quarterback development.
Well, his offense too.
I talk about the pocket presence, the willingness to throw the football away, having that internal clock. I'll also say there has to be times when Dylan Raiola, and maybe today wasn't the day to do it because of the wins you were facing, Dylan Raiola needs to go trust his wide receivers to go win 50-50 balls at times. That's going to open up the offense. If you get single coverage on the outside and the defense has to be scared that you're going to toss it up to a Dane Key or an Isaiah Hunter, and you can have trust your wide receivers can go make a play.
2 targets, 0 catches, Dane Key. Limited in Big Ten play, to put it nicely.
There has to be a time whenever you can say, hey, 3rd down and 7 here. Dana loves calling screens on 3rd and long. It's the expected play to make, not a bad play call. It's pretty typical. There has to be times whenever the defense has to be worried that if we go single coverage here on Dane Key on the outside, Dylan's going to put one up for grabs and he's going to make a play, or an Isaiah Hunter is going to go make a play. It's another thing I like to see from Dylan. I'm not sure if he doesn't want to hurt his completion percentage, if he's too scared of making a turnover-worthy play that can change the game. I don't know what it is. I would love to see Dylan just say, you know what, I trust my receiver more than I trust your defensive back. My guy's going to go make a play. You see the quarterbacks, the top level of the game in the NFL, go trust their wide receiver to go make a play. I've seen enough from Nebraska's wide receivers. If you get one-on-one coverage on the outside, I want to see those guys go make a play because I think there's probably a 60% chance that they're going to go make that play.
Here's my real question. If there's a drink in a dark room tonight between older brother and little brother, how's that conversation going about
the O-line play?
Uncle, O-line play, nephew, and I mean, I'm half joking, I'm half not. Because Dylan, gets batted around, and Papa loves his boy, which we all do. We love our kids if we have them, and it's just not what it needs to be on the offensive line.
We're going to have that conversation starting next week at left guard. It's Romanick Diola. He comes from.
You might have a Spark Mindler on the other side of the line. You better watch out. He'll find a way to get some eligibility.
And watch Dana call the run.
Why do these guys look like they play at BYU? Yeah. So old.
Yeah. Aside from the minivan and family size.
Does a 21-year-old have male pattern baldness?
I will give. The elements were a factor today. I will give them that, but they can't be an excuse.
Yes.
It can be a reason why you called certain plays when you called them, but it can't be an excuse. Well, we couldn't throw it in the wind. Again, the 45-yarder was into the wind. And every now and then, Michigan State uncorked one long.
Hey, Michigan State's last drive with their backup quarterback was into the wind the whole way. Wasn't an issue.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you know there's wind to worry about, and it could be problematic for the guy's completion percentage.
Wouldn't you give your running backs more than 16 carries?
His brand, his whatever it is, yes, you give them more than 16 carries, unless to your soul you don't believe they can run power football. It's got to be gimmicky. It's got to be countery. I don't care how you get it done, but give them the opportunity to get it done. Unless there's an agenda here. Is there an agenda and it's a domino. You have a 5-star that kind of relaunches your program. Great. We smiled about the quarterback room with Latif. We like the kid from Mount Carmel that won in a shootout last night. So I get that you need a difference maker at quarterback, but it can't come at the expense of, and it hasn't from a win standpoint. You found a way to win, but it's just it's been too choppy offensively.
Part of me wonders, Mark Spindler got into this pregame. Part of me wonders with Dana what his willingness to make deviations from his game plan is during the game. I think you stepped into this football game looking at Michigan State secondary and their pass rush and saying our best chance to win this football game is going to be throwing the football around.
And it's supposed to be without the conditions. And it's supposed to be if you have time to protect.
I wonder about Dana, the ability to say, hey, I loved my game plan that we worked up all week, but it's halftime. Our offense is sputtering. It's not working. We need to make some adjustments. I wonder if that's the style of coach that he is. Now, I wouldn't say stubborn, but there has to be a time where you sit there and you check out what's been happening with your offense for a quarter and a half, and you have to say, man, I got to think of something on the fly. I think Dana is one of those coaches that lives in the film room, that is completely over-prepared when he goes into a football game. He is ready for his offense, but I wonder if he has that ability midway through the third to say, despite what my game plan was all week long, I need to make a change. And it's not stubbornness. It's more about preparedness isn't the word. It's the word is.
Here's what it is. It's, and maybe stubbornness is the wrong word, but I think he thinks they are able to do X, Y, and Z, and it's not getting done, and it's probably driving him mad.
I think he's more the type of offensive coordinator to make tweaks to his game plan as opposed to wholesale changes.
Sure.
That's the best. He's more than willing to make tweaks. We've seen that. We haven't seen a game plan from Dana where he makes wholesale changes because things aren't working.
I guess folks can still call in technically.
Yeah, they can.
Yep, 489-1240, 489-1240.
We'll go like, what, 10 more minutes here?
Yep, 800-825-5865. So we'll take you till about 8:45 or so.
What would it have been like tonight if Nebraska had lost?
Dude, it's same song.
Seriously,
it's a sequel to a bad series of movies, and this would have killed the season.
Yeah.
I was listening to the Matt Rule press conference, and there was that's the way games are in the Big Ten. You're gonna have close ones, and look, there were a lot of close ones around the league today, and
he's
upsets.
not wrong.
He's not wrong, but sometimes I think there's an excuse that the coaches all get together and say, "Hey, make sure we tell everybody that every game is going to get close." That's the way you should expect it. Nebraska should have been in control of this game, but if they had, if Nebraska had lost this game, I just wonder what the tenor at that press conference would have been like, because there was a lot of things that they did in the last 2 weeks that were Michigan should have been more than just a 3-point loss, and this certainly could have been a loss the way things were going for the middle part of the game. But they won. And this is a game that Nebraska would not have won in years past. So there is promise, but now they go on the road for two real road games for the first time. And maybe that's a good thing too.
And Maryland was a team that preseason, there's always a team on Nebraska's schedule. It's always a team in the Big Ten that nobody thinks anything of preseason. They come out and surprise. I know they lost today. Maryland is that team this year. That is a good football team out in College Park. They have a team, Loxley talked about it. He has a team that is bought in and wants to play for Maryland. They want to play for their head coach.
Hey, let me say that. I knew Mike Loxley decently well, shall we say, professionally, when he was at New Mexico, his first time as a head coach that I can remember, maybe a bit a lower level head coach, and it was not a good tenure. They were terrible. And I think he would even say I wasn't a good coach back then, but he got the opportunity, and it was embarrassingly bad. And nice guy, really good guy, but they were bad, and I know he was not a good coach. But he went into the Nick Saban Reclamation Project program, rebuilt his career like many coaches have, and he got to go back to his home area on the East Coast and in Maryland, where he knows the culture and can go into any high school, and those guys all love him, and he's a perfect fit for that job. And I know that early on there were some rumblings that maybe this wasn't going to work out very well, but man, he learned from Saban and has a program that's more than respectable at this right now.
Well, they've got tremendous.
So good on him.
They have NFL draft picks all over that roster.
Yeah.
They're just not great on the lines of scrimmage.
He was trying to recruit those guys to New Mexico. He was trying to recruit that area to bring in top, and they're like going, "Yeah, I'm good, bro." And now he's there, and again, speaking their language, their Maryland language, and it's working. He's a likable guy, and he'll have his team ready to go. It'll be a challenge for Nebraska. I think Nebraska.
He's an insane recruiter.
Yeah,
him and Signetti both on Saban's staff once upon a time. And can he cut it as a head coach is a question.
The positive for Nebraska next week when you look at Maryland does not run the football. Washington came back today.
Until next week.
Washington came back today because Maryland could not run the football. They could not kill the clock. Maryland is a throw the football around. Malik Washington is a fantastic quarterback. He's young. he's going to face the Nebraska secondary. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nebraska as a similar favorite against Maryland as they were against Michigan State, despite the fact they're on the road.
Wow.
Because Maryland is a throw the football around team. Washington has not faced a secondary like he's going to face in Nebraska. I think from a matchup point of view, you have a great advantage against Maryland. But Maryland, they're going to have all the motivation in the world based on how this game against Washington went. Justice?
Or it beats them twice.
You know, I think it's funny you say that because between Damon Williams and Malik Washington, they threw the ball 90 times. Malik Washington threw 49 passes, completed 30 of them today. So they very much want to spread the ball around. Like you said, Mike Loxley's a great recruiter. He's got a top 5 player in the 26 class coming in to play edge for him next year. So he can recruit, but they, like Elijah said, they threw the ball 49 times today. They did not try to run the football.
Well, Maryland's running backs combined 16 carries for 43 yards.
And they ran it, 25 times total?
20 times total for 50 yards, whenever you include. There's 2 wide receivers got it, and Malik Washington had 2 carries.
I really like what Nebraska's defense did. I mean, that was
good sign for next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, a shameless plug for the Sunday Live Average Joe Sports Show tomorrow morning, 10:30 on your Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Tell a buddy. Find us on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio, AJ Sports Pod. And reminder to you, we'll be ready to rock and roll. I think next Saturday's an early Average Joe.
Yes.
Saturday.
That's a way early look.
It's a way early look, 7:45-ish till 9:45. We'll re-air on KFOR radio at noon. And then we'll bring you Real Red Reaction after Nebraska and Maryland. I'll be on site for Nebraska, Minnesota at the Graduate in Minneapolis, just across from the stadium.
Sorry, you can't go.
That's okay. Junior's rolling with me.
Oh, nice.
Junior, I asked him, and I showed Elijah this text. I asked Junior, did you sneak your way in to the game again? Or, are you watching it on TV? And Junior hung out with the Clydesdales a little too long pre-gaming.
By Clydesdales, are you not referring to the literal Clydesdales? Are you referring to cans of beer?
Yes.
Okay, yes. I assume so. Yeah. We all had game days like that back in our college days.
He slurred the words "I'm hammered"
while texting.
What's great is that he turned 21 as soon as he entered college. So good on him.
We gray shirted him a little bit so he could make a varsity team.
Hey, some of us for the first 3 years of their college experience were from Missouri instead of from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Carson went with Idaho.
I'm not sure. I just knew Missouri was readily available.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how I got into the zoo bar thanks to a friend of mine, but anyway.
It's because you're Bill freaking Dolman. That's how you.
Yeah.
Even back then.
Yeah.
Billy.
Yeah, they could tell something was happening.
Billy
you're from Fairbury? Right in the place, sir.
Guys, final thoughts as we go around the horn here. Nebraska winner 38-27 over Michigan State. We got playoff baseball on.
Go Mariners.
I guess I shouldn't be shocked. I need to figure out what the heck happened because I'm watching that Maryland game. There's an injury. There's 7 minutes left in the third quarter, and it's 20-0.
Yeah.
There's a taunting penalty on third down that extended the drive.
Horrible call.
When it was, 20-3? And that was the sign of life. Right now, Miami up on Florida State 14-3. Ohio State plowing away to start the second half, hosting Minnesota. How about UCLA? 5-point win. They jumped all over Penn State.
That's my final thought for today's game. It could be worse. You could be Penn State.
Well, I think that's symbolic of what Rule's talking about. You can go lose a game any Saturday.
Yeah, and James Franklin, I know his buyout's $48 million. That seat is as hot as it's ever been. Is it that high?
It's $56 million.
I thought it lowered down this season. Anyway.
The Fighting Garth Glissman campus tour was at Florida today.
But back to Penn State here. That seat for James Franklin is as hot as it's ever been. It's better to learn lessons in a win than in a loss. Penn State, back-to-back losses. They lose to an unranked foe for the first time since that 9 overtime game against Illinois way back when I think it was Bielema's first year. It is a disaster right now in Happy Valley. Small to medium game, James couldn't even win a small game today.
That's a case of a team beating you twice. They lost to Oregon and they lost to UCLA because of Oregon travel. And they're going to talk. Well, we had to travel all the way across the country. Well, Oregon had to travel all the way across the country to beat you, and then you go to UCLA, a team that is working on a backup coach, a backup head coach comes in. I've said for a long time that you just got to break up and move on from each other. And I think
you got to
that's been the
change your
case.
offensive style. I mean, you're asking Drew Aller at 6'5" to be an RPO quarterback. He has as many carries as Singleton does today. And Singleton and Allen combined for 20 total carries.
No.
Hey, and look, I think James Franklin is a great coach. My guess, instead of moving on to the next job, that he's probably going to be one of those coaches who ends up on Big Noon Kickoff for a year and then gets back into the game. I have a hard time believing he's going to be at Penn State next year.
I'm with
because
you.
because the fan base and the donors are really, really dissatisfied at this point. There are a lot of them wanted to break up a couple of years ago, and he could have probably had the pick of any job that he wanted. It was just time to break up. But these two losses with the team that people are saying, if you're ever going to win a national championship at Penn State, this was the team that was going to get it done. And you lose to Oregon, and then you're not going to the playoff now. You're out of that. And I just think he's probably going to be one of those guys that sits out and surveys the landscape to find out what's going to be available in 2027, and he'll reemerge then. But I think there's some toxicity to if he moves from Penn State to Auburn, something like that. I think he sits out.
The question is what does Penn State do from here? You have to make that call to Cignetti. I don't think Cignetti leaves Indiana at this point in time.
Why would you?
I'm with you on that one.
He might want to be the guy that says, "Screw it, I'm staying here. I'm going to build this up, and I'm going to be."
And if I go 7-5, they're grateful for 7-5.
And I know people have said here in the stream chat, Penn State might call Matt Rule. That's not the hire to make. Hey, I know he's an alum.
Well, his best friend's the AD.
You don't go from a guy who struggles against top 10 opposition to a guy who struggles against top 25 opposition.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I don't know what Penn State does, but I don't think James Franklin is the long-term solution.
If they're smart, they figure out a way to finish at 9-3 and do nothing. Period. Unless you can get Urban.
If they're smart, I mean, I don't think it comes down to if they're smart. It comes down to what does that Penn State team have from a want-to point of view the rest of the season.
Maybe they steal Matt Patricia from Ohio State, who has rebuilt his resume and reputation.
You could go get Chapel Bill.
Do you call a different Bill? Do you call Bill O'Brien at Boston College and say, "Hey, you want to run it back, buddy"?
I think that's a great call.
I thought about that, but
I don't know if
awesome.
Their fan base wouldn't love it, but it'd be a good hire.
He hated his time at Penn State. He hated the Joe Boston
horrible situation.
No, he did, but he chose to take that so he could be a head coach and get away from Brady screaming at him on the sideline. But he wanted to get to the NFL. He couldn't stand the Paterno
shadow
cult. Probably is what he deemed it. The shadow's one thing. It's another thing having to put up with Joe's kid on staff or payroll or as a trustee, always jacking with him allegedly. Ken, I like Lane Kiffin. There's no way he leaves the South.
Nope. Absolutely not. He's trying for the Bama job.
Well, if he wants anything, it'll be Florida.
Okay, now here's a take. Does Penn State go try to steal Brett Bielema?
No, I mean Bielema's the only Big Ten gig he could leave for is
Iowa,
and I don't even think he'll do that.
TJ Fleck, Penn State.
There's no easy answer.
I was just going to say, there's one Big Ten coach who's going to be throwing his resume around for another job.
PJ Fleck.
PJ Fleck.
And he might work there.
I think he'd kill it. I mean, PJ's a good coach.
So that's the final thought here. At least we're not talking about new head coaches at Nebraska on a day like today. Nebraska gets the win. It's an incremental step forward in the right direction. Not as big as a step as you'd like, but Nebraska gets a victory in unsatisfying fashion. A victory in unsatisfying fashion is better than a loss in unsatisfying fashion.
True.
It's Elijah Herbal, Justice Rhodey, Chris Schmidt, And the Pride of Fairbury is Bill Dolman. Sunday Live, 10:30 tomorrow, YouTube. Big thanks to all of you for finding us on Real Red Reaction on KFOR, powered by Slim Chickens, 14th and Pine Lake, 84th at Old Shady, and soon to be up there on 84th and Adams-ish area. Thanks to all of you in the stream. Thanks to all of you who called. And be sure to download, like, and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show. And check out KFOR Daily, mornings and afternoons for all your Husker coverage. Brian, appreciate you. Tuck, Ed, Skylar, Justin, Gray Woman, 79. Of course, Captain, Game Dog.
By the way, Gray Woman, I still have not received a drink yet.
And hey, also thank you, Justice. Thank you, Justice. For
Justice, you're
out of the studio.
awesome, dude. Yeah, thank you for doing both. We will be back shortly to unlock that invisible.
I thought it was
fence.
on a time lock these days.
Yeah, 9 o'clock. The shackles come off.
The time lock. Okay.
Yeah, on the time lock.
All right.
Upgraded.
Enjoy Victory Saturday. Enjoy those of you who got the cover. And Nebraska moves to 4-1. We'll talk to you next time on KFOR on Real Red Reaction and holler tomorrow morning 10:30 with the Average Joe Sports Show Sunday Live. Take care.